Hi, good morning. Uh, Today I'm going to tell you about SAP. It's a bit of an advanced lesson. It's not your basic stuff that technicians need to know, but it's information that technicians need to know and understand the power of SAP. The power of SAP to support reliability, lean manufacturing, and constant improvement. What you will not learn are company specific processes. That will come later. So when a company decides they're going to build a plant or invest in a plant or extend a plant, they'll do it on paper first, and from that drawing they'll work out what equipment they need, what controls they need, what power supply they need, what mechanical stuff they need. And from that they can work out what maintenance routines have got to be required, what maintenance frequencies have got to be done, and then they can calculate how many maintenance technicians they require to run this plant. And that basically forms the basis of your maintenance budget. And for the rest of the drawing, raw products come in on the left hand side and profit comes out on the right hand side. That's the deal. And a business plan is created for any business when all costs are known and provisions for. These are some of the fixed costs you might calculate. Please note this stuff at the bottom, where the maintenance budget is initially based upon carrying out maintenance PPM tasks, not correctives. Therefore, every repair activity is an additional charge to the maintenance budget, and also prevents the PMs being carried out. It should be every maintenance department's goal to minimise the creation of corrective tasks. These are the modules which make up SAP, lots of different modules, and they all capture relevant data to support constant improvement, lean manufacturing, and total reliability. In each of those modules, they all have the same applications attached. We're going to talk about plant maintenance module today. You might ask yourself, well, where did they buy SAP? I mean, you could run any business today on a simple spreadsheet on Microsoft Project, which in the scale of things is almost free these days. SAP costs in excess of millions to buy, and then there's licensing fees each year, which can be greater than $1 million each year. Then you say, why again SAP? Well, when costs don't go to plan, people investigate why. And every delay is about cost. SAP, when used correctly, captures this data for analysis. Every production facility's aim is to achieve total reliability, lean manufacturing, applied by Henry Ford in 1929. Constant improvements, the watchword of every production facility. And SAP incorporates the facility of all of these requirements into the design of every module used. Let's look at maintenance costs, and when they don't meet plan, what can be the cause? So this graph you're looking at is an annual view of a typical production plant anywhere in the world, and it won't be far off what your company's doing right now. And for the total year, this graph represents 100% planning, utilization of your labour. And what we find is that most companies achieve 45% of planned work. 30% of the time is taken up with breakdowns, and 25% of the time is waste. Well, let's look at that as costs. Well, one technician, you might say, costs 50 coins. Now, coins can be pounds, it can be dollars, it can be reals, it can be yen, it can be anything. So we're going to call, for the sake of this presentation, we're going to call them coins. So one technician costs you 50 coins of the realm per hour. Now, that's not what you pay the man, it's what it costs to employ the man. Now, take the offshore scenario. That's about right for an offshore guy. But the non-productive people they need to employ to get that man offshore is the train ride from his place of residence, it's his overnight stay in a hotel, it's the hotel staff that he pays for, it's the airline ticket to the islands in the Shetlands perhaps, it's the helicopter ride, it's the pilot's fees, it's the pilot's accommodation. It all builds up as to what you need to pay to employ a particular guy, and it's not far off when you look at a non-shore facility. So that's why it's 50 coins. Now if you have a maintenance crew of 12 technicians at 50 coins per hour, 8 hours a day is 4,800 coins. There are 260 working days in the year, working 5 days a week. 260 times 4,800 is 1,248,000 coins. That's your maintenance budget. Now when we look at this graph again, we can see that 25% of it are the delay codes we've used, which is waste. Delays can be anything. It can be permit delays, scaffolds not erected, it can be material delays, it can be tools not available, it can even include weather delays. But our job is to use SAP to capture this waste and review it constantly, and to work out how we can reduce that waste by better planning and preparation, and transfer that waste into planned work. So let's take on a topic or a target and say we will reduce that waste by 50% this year. Well, 50% of 25 is 12.5%. So you have the potential to save your company 156,000 coins of the realm each year and turn it into positive work. So by doing the positive work of planned work, doing your PPMs on time and doing correctives, you will reduce your breakdowns, you will reduce the work, and you'll start to become more efficient. And this is perhaps what the graph might look like if you could turn that 12.5% into positive work. You would be achieving 61% if you planned work. That's everything you plan to do that week would increase. You'd reduce your delays, and you should reduce your breakdowns. This is the typical life cycle of a defect within SAP, and we'll talk about pure SAP, how it should work, not what your company does. IW21 is raised, and it can be raised by anybody, and it's that guy's job to communicate what is broken, where it is, and what we need to do to correct it, if he knows. Now, operators raise notifications when they see a defect. They might not know the technical abilities of how you repair this thing. They'll just say, pump is broke, fix it. But if we've got a mechanic raising a notification from a PPM, then he should be able to plan that job and identify what components you may require. If the gatekeeper reviews that notification and agrees it's worth looking at, he will convert it to a work order in IW32. The work order is then planned, and additional materials are added, manpower is added, all services are added, so you include all men, method and materials into the planning of the work order, and then the gatekeeper has a step where he can look at that at costs, and then look at, is this value for money? He will see all costs. If he agrees that it is value for money and we should fix this, then he will release the work order to the schedule in IW32. IW32, then the supervisors, the maintenance team there will go and execute that work order. They will go into IW41. Now, not every company uses the IW41 confirmation facility, but in my opinion it is one of the most critical steps and often overlooked, because in this step, this is where you capture your defects and the time that the delay to completing this task is being captured and how much time it took. Once the work is completed, it is technically completed in the work order, and then eventually in IW32 the finance people close that work order when all costs are in and no further costs can be captured. Let's have a quick look into SAP. So we'll go straight to IW41 and look at the facilities we just spoke about there. Choose that one. So in this particular work order, it's a job, the operation is building HVAC common fall, I guess. It was estimated at 2 hours there, look. But here in this reason code box, we can identify that we went to do this job and we incurred a permit delay. Yeah. And then we would put that in there. And then the actual duration, you might have waited 1 hour and you would save that. I'm not going to save this because it's a live work order. You've eventually got your permit, you get on the job, and then you find out that the scaffold's not erected. So the previous prior task is not done, which would be that one, and then you might wait another 2 hours, and you'd put a note in there saying scaffold not erected. Yeah, the problem with the scaffold might go in there. But you're capturing data as you go along and you're reporting it. If somebody asked you in 6 months' time, how many delays have you had with scaffold? It would be difficult to quantify this information. So I'm going to come out of that and not save it. But if you do not capture your delay and the amount of hours spent on that delay, the waste, you can't quantify it at the end of the review to work out where you could improve. Coming out to that one. Yes. And now we'll have a quick look at notifications. So we're going to start off and create a notification. In a notification, you might say test notification for HVAC equipment. It's very important to select the correct function location for this equipment. If you fail to do that and just go for a building rather than the equipment, the cause codes, the fault codes, and the corrective codes that go in come from the function location. So if I choose a building for this, my delay codes, my cause codes, my object codes will all relate to a building. And so we've picked that. I'm going to pick the building one to demonstrate it. Then you would choose your priority for the job. Select your dates. Yep. Get new dates. And then down here, it's very important that you select the correct. This again is because we've chosen a switch from. So it's the incorrect function location. So you generally get 5 options there, which is fail to operate as expected, fail to start, fail to stop, fail PPM inspection, or not applicable. So, but I'm going to stick with that function location first. You'll notice it's put an equipment number in there. Now, SAP works off equipment numbers. That's just the way it is. So for every function location, SAP allocates a code, a unique number for it. It's how SAP works. Now if we click on this button, it will give me the history of that function location. So you can see here that the breakdowns have been activated, the breakdown flag, and we have lost 1,651 process days because of this building. Well, that's not true. It's because this company I'm working for right now hasn't really communicated the power of SAP. It says here that 16 notifications have been created, 8 have been completed, 73 work orders have been created, and 82 have been completed. Well, it's a terrible mismatch there, and that's because of this company that I'm working for. They don't raise notifications for PM work orders. That's why it's all out of kilter. But if we click on this button, the order button, it will take us into IW38. It will select outstanding, in progress, completed, and historical. It inserts the equipment number associated with that function location, and it will show us the last 12 months. Click on the clock to go, and that lists everything that's been carried out in accordance with that building. by sorting it on the work order and putting the biggest at the top, you'll see the most recent. So that was the last PM that was carried out, and if you saw in that it was only completed 2 days ago and now we're reporting a fault, you might question the quality of that PM, whether it was carried out correctly or whether or not it is complete in its requirements. So you might review that PPM and find out why we didn't see this defect then. Let's exclude the Z10s. So you select the filter, go across the multi-option button and select exclude. In there put Z010 in there, so we're going to exclude Z10s and we will only see correctives, and that's what we've got. Well, we see that the high PIB alarm has come in, and the PIB alarm came in there. Now they are, looking at the dates, one was on the 16th of November 2017 and one was the 8th of June 2017. Well, if I'm getting high PIB alarms in for this area and we're doing regular PPMs, something is wrong, and it's telling me that I have to check something. Obviously that PM we're doing in that area is not adequate, and this is an old job, and I've picked this one specifically because when we investigated this, I know there's only 2 jobs, but when we investigated this, we found that some equipment was not included into the PPM routine. We have fixed it and we haven't had these alarms since. That's kind of just what I wanted to show you. Click return, the green button to go back, takes you back to IW38. Click this button again, takes you back to the notifications, and you're there. And because you haven't seen the duplicate, you can continue with your long text and develop this notification to try and communicate. And remember that when you're creating a notification, it's best if a company creates a long text template, they're called, and in the long text you should enter mine's a bit slow. You should enter the fault, the location, a good description, let them know how to find this fault, where it is, because the planners, when they go out and look at this job, they won't know where your equipment is located. Help them out. The fault, the location, what requires to be done, why it needs to be done, what labour, what materials, and any special precautions. And that would be the basis of a good quality notification. Again, I'm going to come out of that without saving it, and I'm just going to cancel this one. The last thing to show you is this box here, and if we went to that, we can identify again from the function location we've chosen, its default it is, and it should be. That's the best way to find faults, failed PM inspections. Everything else is telling you that the PMs are not being done on a regular frequency or sufficiently carried out. So that's a very good indicator. Let's change this one to a location, a function for the HVAC. And we'll go for that A star and 111 again. Start again. And we'll get a HVAC equipment handling it. We'll choose that one for the purpose of this. It'll change that code in there. We get a different one, and that should have changed now. Then I get a different option, and it didn't. And these are locked. We can't change these codes over here. So that's it for today, gentlemen. It's just telling you how SAP feeds into the constant improvement, total reliability, and lean maintenance principles. I hope it's been of some help. If you understand this, then you'll understand why they've spent so much money on SAP and the value it can give back to the company. Thank you very much. So, final look at the chart. This is what we're trying to protect, the 25%. Improve your planning and scheduling efficiency, plan and prepare, and you will reduce the permit delays, the scaffold delays, the material delays, and tools not being on site. Thank you very much for your time, gentlemen. Goodbye.